I think we should explore seeing other people. He said it while buttering toast. Saturday morning, casual as hell. Like he was suggesting we try almond milk instead of oat. We'd been married 8 years. No kids. Decent life. The kind where you learn each other's coffee orders and settle into routines that feel safe. Maybe too safe. But I didn't see this coming. Not like this. Sorry, what? I asked, thinking maybe I'd misheard. I've been listening to some relationship podcasts, he said, chewing slowly. Monogamy feels unnatural. I feel like I'm suffocating. I want to experience more range. He said range like he was talking about sampling wine. And if I don't want that? I asked. He shrugged. Then maybe we're not right for each other. That was it. No argument. No tears. Just him sipping coffee like he'd unlocked some great spiritual truth, and I was collateral damage in his self-actualization arc. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I said, okay. Let me be clear that okay was not acceptance. It was a strategy. For the next 2 weeks, I played the perfect wife. Cooked. Cleaned. I even asked him how his personal growth journey was going. All while I tracked the new woman he was seeing, because of course there was one. A photographer named Nika. Vegan. Community art space. Soft lighting, vintage filters, full bullshit. And guess what? He made the rookie mistake of using our joint Gmail to book a dinner reservation. With her. The night of the date, he left in the same shirt he wore on our first anniversary. I watched him leave. Lipstick stain on his collar, not mine. He thought I'd stay home with wine and misery. Instead, I drove downtown and sat 2 booths away in that overpriced cafe. Sunglasses on. Heart numb. She laughed at his dumb jokes. Touched his arm like they were in a Netflix rom-com. I filmed 30 seconds. Just for me. Just so I'd never forget what he looked like when he chose someone else. I didn't go home after. I went to his mom's. Elaine loved me. Always had. Thought I was the best thing to happen to her son. She opened the door in her slippers mid-Hallmark movie. I handed her a folder. Screenshots. Audio. A still from the video. Why are you showing me this? She asked, already frowning. Because when he tells you I left him out of nowhere, when he says I couldn't handle his truth, I want you to know what really happened. She didn't say anything. Just stared at the proof. That night, I packed my things. Canceled the joint cards. Changed my passwords. Moved into a short-term furnished rental I'd already paid for in full. I left him one note on the kitchen table. You said I should accept it or leave. I chose leave. Enjoy the freedom. T. He came home to silence. No me. No keys. No fight. The next morning, missed calls. By noon, voicemails from him, his mom, his best friend, all of them playing dumb. But I was already gone. Because when someone offers you betrayal as a lifestyle choice, you don't negotiate. You walk, and you let them feel the quiet they created. The thing about walking away is no one believes you will. Not really. Especially not him. I think let's just call him that now. Figured I'd blow up, cry, scream, throw a plate maybe, but stay. Because that's what I always did. I stayed through the stress, the startup chaos, the family drama, the nights he came home too tired to care. I stayed because I believed love meant endurance. But this wasn't love. This was convenience for him and slow erosion for me. So when I left, it hit him like a truck. A silent, luxury model, female-driven truck with pre-scheduled therapy and a new mattress on the way. The first week, he blew up my phone. At first, it was guilt-trippy. You just walked out? Without even trying. Then panic. We can talk. I didn't mean for this to happen like this. And finally, desperation wrapped in ego. You're being dramatic. You didn't even let me explain. But what was there to explain? That while I made slow-roasted tomato soup, he was planning slow undressing with someone else. Meanwhile, I was fine. Better than fine. I slept alone and didn't feel lonely. I lit candles just for me. I listened to old-school Alanis and unfollowed every mutual friend who didn't want to take sides. I even got a dog. A senior rescue named Hugo who looked like he'd seen some shit and was done tolerating it. Instant besties. And the weird part? I felt light. Like I'd been holding my breath for years and finally exhaled. Then came the twist I wasn't ready for. I got a call from Nika. Yes, her. She found my number through his laptop. She didn't sound angry. She sounded embarrassed. I thought he was single, she said. He said you were just roommates at this point, that you were the one who didn't want to separate because you relied on his health insurance. I laughed out loud, like cackled. Girl, I said, I pay for the house. I paid for the honeymoon. I paid for the damn insurance. He's on my plan. She was quiet. Then said, I dumped him. He started love-bombing me. It felt gross. I almost thanked her. Not because she was innocent, she wasn't, but because she reminded me. Men like him don't evolve. They recycle. 2 weeks later, I get a text. Are you seeing anyone? No apology. No accountability. Just a soft probe testing the lock. So I sent one sentence. Healing is not a spectator sport. You lost the ticket. The first time I saw him again was at a hardware store. I was buying paint samples for my new place, something light, warm, like peace in a color swatch. He was in the aisle too, holding a screwdriver set and looking very confused. As if his masculinity had just realized it didn't know how to hang a shelf without Googling it. He saw me before I saw him. And when I turned, there it was, that flicker of hope in his eyes. The little twitch in his jaw, like he was rehearsing the apology in real time. I raised an eyebrow. He smiled. Like we were co-stars in a romantic comedy and this was the quirky meet-cute after Act 2 heartbreak. Tanya, he said, like he hadn't lost the right to say my name. Need help? I asked, nodding at the screwdriver. He laughed awkwardly. I guess I'm not as handy as I thought. I didn't reply. I walked past him, picked up a sample called Seaside Calm, and said over my shoulder, not everything needs fixing. That night I met someone. Not like that. Not a rebound. I met myself. The version of me I used to miss, the one who danced while making dinner, who took long baths just because, who bought herself flowers without waiting for anyone else to think of it. I made a rule, no dating until I could sleep without replaying everything. No letting anyone in until I was enough for myself, fully, stubbornly, joyfully enough. Spoiler, it took less time than I expected. Then came the package. No note. No return address. Just a box on my doorstep with one item inside. A leather notebook. His. We used to share it, a project we started during lockdown, jotting down dreams, ideas, future plans. A kind of wish jar on paper. I hadn't thought about it in over a year. But now here it was. And on the last page, his handwriting. If you ever feel like trying again, you know where to find me. I stared at the words for a long time. Then I tore out the page, tossed it in the compost, and put the notebook in a donation bag. Let someone else fill it. Someone honest. Because here's the thing. When a man thinks you'll always be there, he doesn't protect you, he tests you. He pokes the edges of your loyalty to see how far it stretches before it snaps. And when it finally does, he calls it a surprise. He didn't expect consequences. Because men like him never do. They think the worst that can happen is you'll cry. They don't imagine what happens when you stop. And I had stopped. Stopped explaining. Stopped waiting. Stopped protecting his image. It started small. A comment here. A silence there. A few mutual friends suddenly too busy to hang out. He called one night. Blocked number. I answered by accident. Tanya, people are starting to talk. You told them. I smiled. I didn't tell anyone anything. Pause. Then how? Maybe they're just finally seeing who you are. Then the real unraveling began. I got a text from his old business partner, the one who always called me the brain behind the charm. Just so you know, he tried pitching that green tech idea again. Used the same deck you helped design. Didn't even change the footer. Classic. A week later, the company's Instagram was offline. A month after that, he moved out of their shared co-working space. Apparently, investors don't love personal growth journeys that involve sleeping with your wife's friends. Oh yeah, that happened too. Her name was Lena. Yoga teacher, big fan of crystal healing and ethical cheating. She posted a story, soft lighting, 2 wine glasses, his unmistakable laptop in the background. Rookie move. I screenshotted it. Then messaged her. Hey, just FYI, that's a joint laptop. There's still a folder on there with my tax files and legal documents. If it ends up online, I'll know where to start. She blocked me in under 4 minutes. He didn't say a word. But I got a Venmo notification the next day, $87.56, titled Laptop Stuff. Coward tax. And just when I thought it couldn't get more pathetic, he emailed me. Subject line. Can we talk like adults? The body? I've been in therapy. I understand now. I know I hurt you. I just want to clear the air. Translation. I'm losing control of the narrative. Please help me look better. I didn't respond. Because here's the truth he was never brave enough to face. Closure is a team sport and I already won. I didn't post anything dramatic. No cryptic quotes. No revenge selfies. No new chapter captions in front of sunset beaches. I just kept living. Quietly. Decisively. and it rattled him more than any firestorm ever could. I started saying yes to things I used to put off. The art class I always wanted to try did it. Dinner with my loud, hilarious friends he used to call a bit much every Thursday now. That solo trip to Montreal? Booked. Window seat. No return date set. I wore my favorite perfume even at home. Lit candles just because. Played Nina Simone while painting my toes and didn't feel the need to rush a single thing. Meanwhile, he was busy running out of air. The mutuals? Slipping away. Turns out when you stop orbiting around a man, other people stop pretending he's the sun. I'd get texts like, "Hey, I didn't know it was that bad. If you ever want to talk." We always knew you were the real backbone. Even his cousin unfollowed him. She followed me twice. Then came the wedding invite. Not his. Our old friends Emma and Leo. They still loved us both, but the RSVP made it clear. +1 optional only if the +1 isn't a crisis in khakis. I went. Alone. And I looked good. Black silk dress. Clean lines. Red lip. The kind of presence that makes people pause mid-sentence. He was there too. Of course he was. With someone new, obviously. She had the nervous laugh of someone trying too hard to impress his stories. I nodded at her kindly, not her fault. Yet, he caught my eye during the vows. He looked like he was holding his breath. And me? I exhaled. Later, as I walked past him in the garden, he said my name. Just once. Tanya. I turned, slow and calm. Raised an eyebrow. He opened his mouth probably to say sorry or you look amazing or something equally forgettable. But I just smiled. Cool. Controlled. Take care of yourself. And I walked away. On grass so soft I didn't make a sound. He didn't spiral. No. He crumbled slowly like a man realizing the door he always assumed would stay cracked open had been bricked over and painted gold. And the key? Was gone. The next message came on a Tuesday. Midday. No pretext. No greeting. Just, "You really moved on, huh?" I didn't answer. Because what is there to say to that? He wanted to explore. I let him. He wanted space. I gave it and then made sure it was permanent. Around the time he started showing up in places he never liked before. The indie bookstore where I knew every barista by name? He just happened to be browsing the poetry section. My Sunday farmer's market? He was there awkwardly holding kale like it might explain his presence. It wasn't a coincidence. It was nostalgia trying to disguise itself as spontaneity. I didn't confront him. I didn't even acknowledge him. Because nothing hurts like being invisible to someone who used to rely on your gaze for survival. Then one night I saw him outside the cafe. Same one where I watched him meet the photographer. He wasn't with anyone this time. Just standing there. Alone. Looking in through the window. Maybe hoping I'd walk in again. But I didn't. I stayed on the other side of the street. Watched him for a moment, hands in his pockets, posture collapsed like a boy who lost the plot. Then I turned and left. He called that night. Left a voicemail. I don't know who I am without you. It was supposed to sound tragic. Romantic even. But it just felt overdue. Because when someone treats your loyalty like a safety net, they never consider what happens when you cut the ropes. Now here's the best part. I didn't win by dating someone hotter. Or richer. Or more emotionally available. I won by becoming someone I admire. I won by choosing peace over proof. Silence over spectacle. Grace over groveling. And I'll tell you a secret. It feels better than revenge. A year passed. Quietly. No grand revelations. No big confrontation. Just life unfolding without him. The kind of life I used to daydream about in the quietest moments of our marriage when his love felt more like performance than partnership. Only now it was real. I started hosting again. Small dinners. String lights in the backyard. Wine that didn't need explaining. People who stayed late not because they had nowhere else to be but because we laughed too hard to leave. No tension. No walking on eggshells. No man checking the time like Joy had a curfew. I didn't talk about him. He just stopped showing up in the room even when his name was mentioned. Healing is sneaky like that. One day, the weight is just gone. Then came the email. Subject, just read something that reminded me of you. No attachments. No apology. Just 4 lines about a poem and a quote he thought I'd like. He wanted an echo. A ripple. Something to prove he still existed in my world. But the truth is he didn't. Not as a villain. Not as a hero. Not even as a chapter. He was a footnote. Asterisked with, lesson learned. So I didn't reply. Not to be cruel. But because there's no reply to a ghost when you've already stepped fully into the light. Closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes it's choosing not to answer a door you no longer live behind. I printed the email. Folded it once. Slid it into the back of the same notebook he'd left months before. Then I wrote one last line underneath. She outgrew the apology she never got. And just like that, I closed the cover. And I never looked back.